my name's Amalia. This mic isn't actually going to amplify my voice, it's just for the camera, I was told. So we're USAS, United Students Against Sweatshops. We just joined this year. Before we get started, we just want to thank our sponsors, Harry Bridges Labor Center, USAS obviously, Solidarity Ignite, UW Honors Program, and Washington State Fair Trade Coalition.
Yeah, and I'm Sarah, and to start things off, we're kind of just going to show you sort of a basic structure as to how the garment industry is set up with the companies and the workers and the consumers and all of that. So to start things off, can someone from the audience, or like 3 people from the audience, shout out a big company that might make clothes we would sell like in the UW bookstore?
Nike. Under Armour.
Nike, Under Armour, all right. And one more.
Adidas.
All right. And Adidas. Okay, so these 3 big companies, right, they sell the clothes, right? And these workers over here, they actually make the clothes. All right, and then between the workers and these companies, there are factories. So, factories. And the factories are basically like the middlemen between the companies and the workers that collect the clothes that the workers make, distribute them to the companies, and send them off to be sold. So now, everyone in the audience, turn to a neighbor, either on your right or left, and look at the tag in the back of their shirt, and shout out the country that is written on the tag. Cambodia? All right.
USA.
USA. One more?
Just write down China.
Indonesia. Awesome. All right, good job.
Okay.
All right, so do any of you guys want to take a guess as to why these companies go to the factories to get the workers instead of just going to these countries like USA, Indonesia, and Cambodia to hire the workers themselves? Yeah? It's cheaper? Yeah, it is usually cheaper, well maybe, but how would that make it cheaper on the companies? Because really that's just another level they would have to complete before getting the clothes, right? So is there any other ideas out there?
Cheap labor.
What?
Cheap labor, yeah.
Cheap labor, yeah. Yeah. What about like, yeah.
Well, sometimes it's to get around like harsher legislation or law that we have in the United States that will prevent them from being like as efficient and like effective as production specifically.
Yeah, so sort of as a way to like avoid responsibility, right? With all the laws and stuff regarding labor. So the factories, yeah, they sort of take all the blame when, let's say, these workers from Cambodia want to unionize. They'll go to the factory and complain about the low poverty wages or the unsafe working conditions. And so then, let's say, here's this factory. Yeah, so then the workers will try to unionize, go to the factory instead of the big brand. And then when they do that, the brand can just say, no, bye, we don't want to deal with that. Like, we don't want to pay you a living wage because we want cheap labor. And so they'll say bye to that factory and just continue to go to these. Therefore, just sort of getting rid of that middleman. So this is sort of a basic setup as to how the big corporations like Nike, Under Armour, and Adidas get their workers, and how do they use factories to sort of avoid the responsibility involved.
Yeah, so who do you guys think are maybe some large institutions that these brands have contracts with or that are important to these brands? Maybe related to you guys. Any ideas? Schools, yes. What are some school names you can put up here? UW, obviously. Wazoo. I'm not going to put that one up here. Any big school names? Anything? Duke. Harvard, sure. Okay, so we have some big schools. So who are the consumers at these schools? Who are these schools there for? Students, exactly. So that's where we come in. Here are all of us students. This is a little too high, but you know. So you know, these schools have contracts with all these companies, and us students are buying the products that are made by these companies. So basically, what USAS does is we try to recognize the connection between workers and students and how students can affect the way workers are treated and how we're all connected So what we do is we get together nationally and we stand in solidarity with workers in order to fight back against these big brands and to try to fight against some of the horrible working conditions that these workers are put in. So some of you might have heard about a victory USAS had last year where Adidas had actually closed one of its factories because workers were trying to unionize and they were refusing to pay their workers their severance pay. So UW, along with like 16 other schools, USAS at these schools was able to pressure these schools to cut their contracts with Adidas, and the result was that Adidas ended up having to pay these $2 million in severance pay to its workers. So it's effective. Students are ultimately connected to these workers, and we have the power, if we work in solidarity with them, to change the way companies are treating them. So we've also been able to pressure to create factories like Altagracia that are more responsible for their workers, that treat them better, provide health care. As you can see up there, these are just some of the great things that Altagracia does. So yeah, basically recognizing this connection, recognizing the importance, and taking responsibility for where we're getting our products and how these workers are being treated. Go.
All right, so now we're going to introduce our lovely ladies we have sitting here. So first, we have Maritza Vargas, who is the Secretary General of Cetralpo, Altagracia's union, and an active member of Fedotrezonas, the Federation of Free Trade Zone Workers. She has more than 23 years of experience working and organizing in garment factories, and was active in the union effort at BJ&B Factory in Villa Altagracia, Dominican Republic, one of the first to combine student and worker pressure in the collegiate market. After workers won one of the best collective bargaining agreements of any union in a free trade zone in the Caribbean, BJ&B closed suddenly, leaving thousands of workers without a job and attempting to skip town without paying what they legally owed. Maritza was one of the main leaders who held BJ&B and brands accountable to all the legal norms during the closure, and some continued to pay for workers. While their factories shut down and moved to Bangladesh, the allegiance between the Fedotrezonas Union, United Students Against Sweatshops, and the Monitoring of Worker Rights Consortium remained active in global campaigns, eventually making space for one brand, Knights Apparel, to agree to open a model factory in Villa Altagracia, where these parties had fought for justice just a decade before.
Yeah, round of applause. All right, and up next we have Sabeda Fortuna. And Sabeda is the one of the machine operators at Altagracia and the Secretary of Communications in their union. She was active in the BJ&B union effort and has been an active member in Altagracia's union, Cetralpo, since the factory opened. She and her children are all pursuing education fueled by the living wage paid at Altagracia, and she is building a new home as well. All right, and now the two workers from the Dominican Republic are actually going to speak. So, yeah, here we go.
Hola, gracias por estar aquí. Como dijeron las muchachas, mi nombre es Sabeda Fortuna. Tengo 36 años, soy madre de 3 hijos.
Wow, hello. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. And as these ladies told you, my name is Sabeda Fortuna. I'm 36 years old. I'm a mother of 3 children.
Vengo a contarle mi historia en lo que fue BJIB y lo que es ahora Altagracia.
I've come to share with you the story of my life, what I've lived through working at the BJ&B factory and how my life is now working at the Altagracia factory.
Trabajé en BJIB 8 años, donde fui víctima de muchos maltratos verbales y físicos.
I worked at the BJ&B factory for 8 years, where I was subjected to all kinds of disrespect on the job, verbal and physical abuse.
Salí embarazada en BJIB y teníamos unos banquitos de madera donde duraba 12 horas sentada trabajando y donde me obligaban a trabajar hora extra.
You know, I got pregnant during the time that I worked at the BJ&B factory. And, you know, regularly on that job, they would, you know, require us to work 12-hour shifts. And I'd be doing that whole workday, you know, seated on a tiny little wooden bench. And, you know, they would often force me to work mandatory overtime hours.
Donde solo me dejaban ir al baño 2 veces al día y tomar agua 2 veces al día.
And management was watching my every move. I was only allowed to go drink water 2 times a day. I was only allowed to go to the restroom 2 times a day throughout my whole shift.
En mi planta solo trabajábamos 600 personas y no teníamos mucha ventilación y solo teníamos una sola puerta de emergencia.
Well, in the warehouse that I worked in, there were 600 workers packed into that one space. And for 600 workers, there was only one exit that we could get out of in case of an emergency. There wasn't a lot of ventilation or circulation of air.
No me daban permiso para ir al médico a chequearme.
You know, we were never given medical leave when we needed to go see a doctor, you know, if we had to leave the production floor.
Y cuando me daban el permiso que iba al médico, la empresa nunca hubiese pagado a la aseguradora y no nos atendían.
And, you know, if I ever was even able to get to go see a doctor, you know, then, you know, what would often have happened is that the management of the factory would have actually pocketed my public health care money. So instead of paying it into the fund to allow me to actually see the doctor, I would show up to the doctor and there'd be no way for me to see them because the public health care money had never arrived there.
Cuando me ponían a trabajar hora extra obligado, me decían a las 10 tenemos que sacar un trabajo. Pero si a las 10 ese trabajo no salía, nos trancaban la puerta y no nos dejaban salir hasta que ese trabajo no saliera.
You know, and when they would force us to work overtime hours, they would say, oh yeah, we should be out of here by 10 p.m. tonight. But when 10 o'clock rolled around, if we hadn't hit that production level that the management wanted, then they would just simply lock the doors, you know, block us all inside, force us to work whatever hour of the night that was needed to actually complete the production that the management wanted.
Y aparte de ese maltrato, lo duro era que yo trabajaba mi semana entera hora extra y después cuando las reclamaba, nunca aparecían. Cuando yo iba a cobrar el fin de semana, la hora extra no estaban y cuando yo reclamaba, el supervisor me decía, ah, no te la reportaron, pero sí la reportaban, era que ellos se la robaban.
And I think the hardest part of it was, you know, here I was working all week, these long shifts, these overtime hours, and, you know, at least looking forward to like, okay, at the end of the week, when I get my paycheck, you know, I'll have something to show for it. And when the weekend rolled around, when payday came up, you know, what I would find is that, you know, the overtime hours wouldn't even be there on my check. And I would bring this to the attention of my supervisor and I'd say, hey, I think I'm missing some hours here. And what they would say to me was, oh, you must not have reported them. No, I reported them. What was going on is they were robbing me of my overtime pay.
Y era muy duro para mí porque yo me fajaba a trabajar la hora extra para poderle dar la alimentación a mis hijos, que muchas veces solo comían 2 veces al día, y para poderlo mandar a la escuela, porque el dinero que no pagaban era muy poco y con la hora extra era que uno trataba de recompensar un poquito.
You know, and it was really hard. And I mean, I was more than willing to work those overtime hours because I had to be able to get a paycheck that could stretch thin enough to, you know, to cover basic things. Like, I mean, my kids hardly even ate 2 times a day, much of the time, 2 meals a day. And I could just barely cover what was needed for them to be able to go to school. And, you know, what they paid us was just miserable. And so, you know, I was willing to work overtime hours to try and cover a little bit more.
Muchas veces cuando estaba trabajando, si me salía un trabajo mal, el supervisor me tiraba todo el trabajo al suelo. Yo con mi panzota tenía que bajarme y recogerlo y no tenía a quien reclamarle nada. Lo único que hacía era ponerme a llorar porque no podía hacer nada.
You know, a lot of times, just the treatment of management towards us, you know, if I sewed something slightly incorrectly, the management would just, you know, scream at me. And, you know, a lot of times they would throw the work I just sewn on the ground. And I can remember one time when I was pregnant, you know, I had a big belly, and the management forced me to bend over and pick up this garment that they had thrown on the ground. And, you know, I didn't have any recourse. There was really no one to go to complain about this unfair treatment I was receiving. You know, for a time, the only recourse I had was to go home and cry.
Y yo lloraba de rabia y de impotencia porque uno no tenía nadie que lo defendiera y uno tenía que trabajar obligado porque eso era lo único que uno tenía en el pueblo para trabajar. Esa era la única fuente de trabajo que tenía.
You know, and I would just be furious and crying, you know, tears of fury and just feeling powerless because, you know, even though they were treating us so poorly, it was the only source of employment in our town. It was the only job to be had, and you needed that job to be able to provide for your family.
Y era muy duro para mí tener que trabajar el año entero para poderle comprar quizá una ropa nueva a mi niño a fin de año y que cuando uno fuera a buscar su dinero nunca estuviera.
And it was very hard for me, you know, just to work so hard the whole year round, just with the hope that maybe when the holidays rolled around, I'd be able to get some new clothes for myself or for my family. And it was very hard because when that time of year actually came around, I very seldom had enough to really cover those things.
tuve que dejar de estudiar porque en la empresa me decían, tú o trabajas o estudia, las dos cosas tú no las puedes hacer.
You know, I had to drop out of school because the management back then said to us, you know, they give us an ultimatum. Either you study or you go to school. There's no way you can do both.
Y lo que cobraba tampoco me daba para pagar donde yo vivía, darle comida a mis hijos y pagar mis estudios.
You know, and the salary made, there was no way that I would have been able to cover, you know, my rent, you know, cover my housing costs, cover, you know, what my children needed to get by. And then on top of that, pay for schooling. There was no way.
Ahora en Altagracia las cosas han cambiado.
Now that I work at Altagracia, things have changed.
Mi vida ha cambiado, mis hijos tienen un plan de salud, mi familia completa, que antes solo tenía seguro yo.
You know, my whole family now has a health coverage package. My kids, you know, before it was just me that was barely covered.
Mis hijos están en escuela privada, tienen buena alimentación.
My kids are in a good school. They have nutritious food now.
Yo puedo estar más tiempo con ellos porque con el horario que tenemos en Altagracia puedo dedicarle más tiempo.
You know, I can spend more time with them because the schedule that we've negotiated at Altagracia gives us more time to be present with our families.
Trabajamos la misma 44 horas que trabajan todos los trabajadores, pero nosotros los trabajadores elegimos un trabajo, un horario flexible, donde tenemos tiempo para compartir con la familia y estudiar.
So, you know, we still work the same 44-hour work week that every worker in the Dominican Republic works, but we as workers negotiated a more flexible or accommodating schedule that, you know, lets us hit that 44-hour work week, but also have a little bit more time home when our kids are home, or, you know, have time to pursue our studies.
Trabajamos de lunes a jueves, de 7 de la mañana a 5 y media de la tarde, y los viernes de 7 de la mañana a 1 de la tarde.
You know, we'll work Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 at night, but on Fridays we work from 7 a.m. until 1 o'clock, and then we're at home for the whole weekend.
También tenemos un consultorio médico dentro de la empresa.
You know, we also have a health clinic on site at the factory.
En el lugar donde trabajamos tenemos 3 puertas de salida de emergencia y cada 3 meses nos hacen un simulacro de evacuación.
You know, in the warehouse that we work now, we actually have 3 emergency exits, and every 3 months we do an emergency evacuation drill.
Por si se presenta cualquier problema, nosotros estemos preparados para saber por dónde vamos a salir.
So that if ever there would be an emergency or any problem, we're well trained and we know how to get out of the factory safely.
Ahora me estoy preparando para estudiar leyes.
Well, I'm getting ready now to try and enroll to study law.
Porque con el salario que tengo me alcanza para pagar mi universidad y los estudios de mis hijos.
Because the wage that I make now is enough for me to go to college and also for my children to go to school too.
Otra cosa que tenemos en Altagracia es que tenemos un sindicato dentro de la empresa.
Another thing that we have at Altagracia is we have a union inside our factory.
Que está ahí para velar los derechos de los trabajadores.
That's there constantly monitoring and advocating for the rights of workers.
Y tenemos la observación de WRC.
We also have Workers' Rights Consortium constantly monitoring the factory as well.
Voy a dar la palabra a mi compañera.
I'm going to go ahead and give the word over to my compañera.
Como ya le dijeron, mi nombre es Maritza Vargas.
As they already mentioned, my name is Maritza Vargas.
Y tengo 49 años, 5 hijos.
And I'm 49 years old and I have 5 children.
Todo esto que tenemos en Altagracia, como ya ustedes escucharon, no vino de la nada. Llegó por una lucha que tuvimos un grupo de estudiantes y de trabajadores en aquellos tiempos.
You know, everything that we now enjoy at Altagracia, it didn't just appear one day, you know. It really is the victory of a hard-won fight that was fought by groups of students and by workers coming together.
Era muy difícil trabajar en BJB, ya que muchas veces, bueno, como me sucedió una vez, que cobré mi dinero el viernes y era simplemente para pagar la vivienda donde estaba viviendo. No me alcanzaba para más nada, y tenía mis hijos.
You know, it was extremely difficult what we went through working at the BJ&B factory. I can remember that, you know, one time getting my paycheck Friday and all that I could cover with that check was my rent. My rent, that's it. Nothing else, not food, nothing. And I had my 5 children to care for.
Era difícil cuando tú llegabas un lunes, nosotros llegábamos el lunes a trabajar y empezar a decirnos cosas feas, a muchas veces con un calor inmenso, porque en República Dominicana hace mucho calor, muchas veces a que si faltaba una persona, pues ese trabajo de esa persona y el mío yo tenía que hacerlo porque no podían poner a otra persona ahí.
So, you know, it'd be very tough to come in on Mondays and immediately when you got onto the work floor, the supervisors were saying degrading things to you. They would often say ugly words to us. And, you know, you were working in like an immense heat because, you know, it's the Dominican Republic. It's a tropical country. And, you know, I can remember that if any worker was absent that day, I would have to do my work and their work because you know, the management would of course never substitute or fill in for workers.
En ese entonces no había quien reclamarle porque si nosotras nos acercábamos al asistente, que era el asistente que había que ir primero, pues el asistente tenía que ir al supervisor, el supervisor a la mayora al encargado de planta. Ese señor tenía que ir al encargado de gestión humana y cuando llegaba uno a alguien escucharle, pues ya se le había olvidado lo que uno iba a reclamar.
You know, and you really had no one to speak out to about these abuses that were going on because, you know, there were so many layers of bureaucracy to go to. Like they would say, oh, talk to your direct supervisor, you know, so I talked to my supervisor and then I'd have to get to the supervisor above him and then I'd have to talk to like, you know, the higher level manager, the floor manager, and then they'd have to talk to the production manager and then they'd have to talk to human resources. And then, you know, by the time I finally got to the person who was in charge and had the power to change something, you'd practically forgotten what it was that you were complaining about to begin with. Because of all this red tape.
Teníamos muchos intentos de hacer un sindicato, pero muchos trabajadores fueron despedidos por intentarlo hacer.
You know, over time we had various different attempts of workers trying to form unions to change these bad conditions. But immediately when workers would form a union, they would be fired.
Cuando por fin pudimos tener un buen sindicato fue por mucha lucha que tuvieron los estudiantes aquí de USAS y nosotros como federación allá para poder llegar a tener un poquito de cambio en las condiciones que teníamos dentro de BJIB.
You know, and when we were finally able to have a solid, you know, union in our factory, it was the victory of a massive fight that was staged by both students and United Students Against Sweatshops on this level of the supply chain and workers together in our union federation in the Dominican Republic, both pressuring for both sides of the supply chain. And, you know, this was just to achieve, you know, some minimal changes of the way things were being done at the BJ&B factory.
Cuando tuvimos un poquito de tranquilidad, la empresa anuncia un cierre, mintiéndonos al sindicato porque días antes nosotros tuvimos una reunión y ellos dijeron que no había cierre. Sin embargo, 2 días después dice que hay un cierre y no nos dicen el por qué.
So, you know, once we were finally able to get a little bit of peace on the job and business was going along just fine, you know, out of nowhere, you know, they announced a massive closure and shut the doors of BJ&B. And this was even though 2 days before we'd had a meeting with them, you know, asking about how business was going and they had told us everything was fine. And management was lying to us because 2 days later we came in and without telling us why, you know, what was going on, they just said, you're all fired, the factory's closed.
Aunque no era buena la empresa, nosotros lloramos mucho porque era lo único que teníamos como fuente de trabajo y es muy difícil, todavía es muy difícil en República Dominicana obtener un empleo. Entonces nos sentimos muy impotentes a la hora de ver que BJIB se iba de Villa Altagracia.
So, you know, it wasn't a good job. But when we lost that job, we all cried anyways because it was the only source of jobs to be had. You know, it's extremely difficult in the Dominican Republic to get a job. And, you know, so when we found out that we were going to be fired, we just felt powerless, that, you know, our economy was just evaporating from Villa Altagracia.
Un grupo de mujeres dijimos a la hora del cierre que no oponíamos, que BJIB se fuera y nos dejara sin nada en la mano. Claro, las empresas se mudan, pero deberían de dejarle, como dicen las leyes, especialmente las dominicanas, dejarnos algo del sudor que nosotros ya dejamos en esta empresa. Entonces nos dijimos no, así buscamos otra vez la mano amiga de nuestros aliados que eran USAS y WRC con la federación. Entonces dijimos un no al cierre de BJIB injusto.
So, and there was a group of 5 women that really led the fight and said, no, you can't just leave us here with nothing. Because, we were opposed to the factory just leaving town. And, it wasn't that the factory, okay, businesses move, right? But what we were opposed to was that they were doing so without even following the most basic laws of, what they were expected to give to us when they shut down our factory. And especially what they were required to give us under Dominican law. Here we poured our sweat and blood into this factory for all these years, and they were just leaving without even following the law of what they owed us. So we said no, and we stood up and we, held hands, across borders with, our international allies of United Students Against Sweatshops, Workers' Rights Consortium. We came together with our federation, and all together we opposed the unjust closure of BJ&B and demanded due process in the closing of the factory.
Cuando tuvimos esto, dijimos que queríamos reunirnos con alguien para que nos diera la cara, para que dijera por qué se iba BJB y por qué no iba a dejar las manos vacías. Pues logramos con nuestros grupos aliados de que las marcas se presentaran en República Dominicana y tener 5 grandes reuniones donde estuvieron varios representantes de marcas, la Federación, WRC y también USAS.
So, and we all decided that, we wanted to see the face of a human being behind these brands. We wanted to sit down with someone and get an explanation for why this factory was closing and leaving us empty-handed after all those years. And so working together with our allies, we were able to bring representatives from the brands that we'd sewn for all those years to the Dominican Republic. So, we had 5 different back and forth meetings, with representatives of the brands, with our union federation, with USAS, and with Worker Rights Consortium.
Como ustedes vieron en la gráfica estábamos abajo los trabajadores, allá arriba los estudiantes ayudándonos, pero lo de arriba, lo segundo después de los estudiantes, esos señores se fueron y dijeron que no tenían nada que ver, las marcas, o sea, los que están en el medio, perdón, se fueron y dijeron que no tenían nada que ver con nosotros, que quien tenía que ver algo con nosotros era la contratista, o sea, la empresa.
So, you guys can see exactly what happened right here in this graphic, right? So in the graphic, you can see us as workers at the bottom and students at the top. And we were coming together and asking the brands in the middle to do right by us. And, what the brands in the middle, making all that money, said was that they had nothing to do with us. They turned their backs on us. They just simply left. And they said, oh, who's responsible for what you're experiencing is the subcontractor. We don't have anything to do with this. So complain directly to your factory.
No hubo de otra que, seguir trabajando seguir protestando en contra de la empresa, y la empresa entonces nos dio algo, no de lo que nos merecíamos, algo de lo que se quería llevar de nosotros.
And we had no other option but to keep organizing and protesting against them. And, in the end, we won some things. Now, we didn't win everything that we deserved, but we did win some of the things we were owed by law.
Cuando nos dieron 6 meses más de salario a las personas que estaban enfermas y a las embarazadas también, un seguro de salud para que las embarazadas pudieran dar a luz y así atenderse también los bebés y las personas que estaban enfermas atenderse en el seguro médico.
So they paid us, 6 months of additional pay for anybody who had been medically incapacitated at the time of the closure, and also anyone who was pregnant. And as required under the public health care system, they paid to cover pregnant women throughout their pregnancy. So once they gave birth to that child, they would pay the public health care for that child for 1 year.
3 meses más de salario a las personas que estábamos sanos y se fue BJB.
They gave 3 months of additional pay to every, able-bodied, every worker in good health, everyone else, and they left the country.
Cuando se fue BJB quedó a Villa Altagracia como un pueblo fantasma, pero nosotras, algunas de las 5 mujeres que nos quedamos luchando, nos quedamos sí trabajando con otros trabajadores y unidos también a USAS, a WRC, para que trataran de que la próxima empresa que volviera bajo trabajo decente.
So when BJ&B left, our town was like a ghost town. Even so, those 5 women who led that fight, we stayed organizing along with many other workers around the world and with United Students Against Sweatshops to see to it that if ever we could have a factory, opening its doors in our town again, that we would see to it that it would open its doors with a standard of justice that we'd been fighting for all along. And that's how Altagracia came to be.
Ahí nació Altagracia, en Villa Altagracia.
That's how Altagracia came to be in our hometown, via Altagracia.
Altagracia vino a unir las familias que estábamos dispersas, porque, por ejemplo, yo trabajaba 3 horas y media de mi casa, donde dejaba a mis hijos, donde sus tías y sus abuelas, y uno solo podía estudiar.
Altagracia, when it came to town, we were able to reunite our families. Because of economic necessity before, we'd been scattered all over the place. Like for me personally, I had to go 3.5 hours away from my hometown via Altagracia just to be able to put food on the table back home. And my kids were scattered. Some of them were staying with their aunts. Some of them were staying with their grandparents. And only one of them was able to be enrolled in school of 5.
Ganando 3 veces el salario que gana un trabajador de zona franca, podemos estudiar, pagar una mejor vivienda. Yo vivía en una casa muy pequeña, donde mis hijos dormían todos juntos y teníamos un baño que compartíamos con 5 familias.
You know, making a living wage, making more than 3 times what your average garment worker in a free trade zone makes. Finally, we're all, you know, all our children are able to study, and we're able to study, and we're able to live in dignified homes. You know, before I lived in a very small home. All of my children slept in one room all together, the whole family, and we had to share a bathroom, one bathroom between 5 different families.
Cuando empecé a trabajar en Altagracia, me mudé a una casa donde mis hijos tienen su baño privado, tienen su habitación privada. Mis hijos están en una mejor educación. Mi hija está... O sea, yo logré el gran sueño mío, era que mi hija llegara a la universidad y está estudiando psicología. Entonces, ese es el gran sueño de muchos trabajadores que hay en el mundo.
So, you know, and as immediately when I, you know, started making a living wage, I was able to move into a more livable home. Now my children have one bathroom to share between them. You know, they have a room to themselves. Now all of my children are enrolled in school. And I've been able to achieve something that had always been my huge dream, you know, that I always wanted, which was that my daughter would be able to go to college. And she's now enrolled in college. She's studying psychology. And, you know, that's not just my huge dream. You know, that is the aspiration of so many workers around the world that might not ever get to see it yet.
Los trabajadores merecemos la seguridad y higiene que tenemos en Altagracia. Allá tenemos un grupo de trabajadores y trabajadoras que vigilan constantemente la estructura de la empresa para que no sucedan accidentes como ya han sucedido en otras partes del mundo.
You know, every worker deserves the high level of health and safety that we have at Altagracia. At Altagracia, we have a health and safety committee made up of men and women workers ourselves that are constantly checking the factory, monitoring, and making sure that, you know, that we're preventing any possible accident that could occur and that everything's up to code. And this is incredibly important when you're seeing the kind of industrial accidents that are going on in the garment industry, you know, in recent history.
¿Se ha preguntado alguna vez por qué las empresas no dicen dónde tienen su trabajo, su ropa? Es porque los compradores no vayan a ver las condiciones que tienen los trabajadores. En Altagracia sí pueden ustedes ir y ver qué está sucediendo dentro de Altagracia con los trabajadores y también ir a sus casas a ver cómo están sus hijos, cómo está su familia.
So, you know, you might have wondered to yourself, why is it that brands don't disclose the exact factories in the world that they're producing their apparel in? Well, you know why it is. It's because they're not interested to see consumers or anyone go and see the conditions that workers are working under day in and day out. And at Altagracia, you can go. You can go and see the factory, you know, see for yourself how workers are being treated. And, you know, not just see how things are in the factory, you can visit workers' homes, see how they're living, see how their children are living, seeing the impact of Altagracia in our community.
Tenemos un sindicato no porque queremos tener un sindicato, es porque es necesario. Es la única forma que tenemos los trabajadores de garantizar que los empresarios mantengan el respeto a las normas y a las leyes del país.
We have a union at Altagracia, and we don't just have a union because we feel like it. We have a union because having a union is the only way that you can require the management to continue in the long run respecting workers' rights and following the laws, and it's a completely necessary thing to have a union.
Además de nosotros tener un sindicato, además de poder ustedes entrar a la empresa, tenemos una ONG que también está vigilante de qué pasa con los trabajadores. No que la empresa le diga ve y entrevista a X trabajador, no, sino que ellos llegan sin decir cuándo, no le dicen tampoco al sindicato, simplemente eligen ellos cómo entrevistar a ese trabajador, cómo llegar hasta la empresa sin que nadie le diga.
So not only do we have a union, not only do we have, people like you, students coming in and seeing the factory all the time, we also have a nonprofit workers' rights consortium that is constantly monitoring what's going on in the factory. And they're not like other, monitors out there that are, hired by the company and handpick the pet employees of management to conduct their interviews or their audits. Workers' rights consortium, they come to the factory on their terms. They just show up, a lot of times without management or even the union knowing that they're coming. They go directly to workers and interview people on their own terms. People that they contact, that they find, that they conduct interviews with, without anybody telling them who to talk to. They do it on their own independently.
No queremos que Altagracia sea Altagracia. Queremos que las condiciones que los trabajadores de Altagracia tenemos, la tengan otros trabajadores, y en la mano está de cada uno de nosotros. Nosotros los trabajadores, pero también ustedes como compradores, tienen la responsabilidad de que esto ya cambie a través del mundo, no solamente en República Dominicana. Están pasando demasiadas cosas feas con los trabajadores que ya se están destapando porque nosotros estamos haciendo de que se destapen, porque ya está bueno de tanto sufrimiento.
So, we don't want Altagracia to just be Altagracia and that's it, like some pet project. We want Altagracia and the standard that we enjoy at Altagracia to be given to workers the world over. And, that's why we really need to come together, hand in hand, in solidarity across the supply chain. That we as workers and you as people who buy this apparel can come together and we can make this into a global change. A global change, not just in the Dominican Republic, the world over. And that we can, finally put an end to all these disgusting injustices that we're seeing in the garment industry these days. That we're finally, these things are starting to come to light and we're starting to put an end to them. And that's a good thing because it's high time that things change. We can say enough already with this injustice in the garment industry.
Empezamos por uno es Altagracia, queremos que sean muchas. Las universidades, hay muchas que tienen su camisa de orgullo de Altagracia. Hay muchos espacios grandes en las universidades de Altagracia, entonces ya es tiempo. Además de que Altagracia tiene el programa de blanco, que cualquier grupo de iglesia, de deporte, cualquier grupo que quiera un paquete de poloché, de ropa en blanco, también la puede pedir en Altagracia.
So, you have to take the first step to change these things. And Altagracia is a good first step. And, there's a lot more steps that we can take. But, there's a lot of universities around the country that have selected Altagracia for their Big Spirity program. There's a lot of universities around the country that have committed, sizable spaces, in their bookstores to Altagracia. And, in addition to that, if you are in like a church or a sports team, and you're ordering t-shirts, you can even order Altagracia t-shirts in blank.
Es hora y sí se puede.
So, it's time. We can make this shift. Sí se puede.
¿Quieres decir algo, Carla?
Do you want to say something, Carla, please?
Alright, so now that we've heard about the amazing story and what can happen when students like you and like me, like us, Alright, so now that we've learned about what can happen when students like you and I join together with an organization like USAS to fight for workers' rights from people that are completely across the world and the victories that can come about with this, we would like to invite you guys to come to one of our meetings. We meet in Parenting Hall, room 206 on Mondays at 7 p.m. and we hope to see everyone there.
So yeah, please come to our meetings every time we go around and we discuss current labor issues. We talk about recent events that relate directly to things we've been doing. We plan future action events. Most recently, we went to the REI headquarters downtown and had a bit of a protest. We went in with banners and flags and signs to get REI to drop their contract with North Face, which is owned by VF, which operates lots of sweatshops in Bangladesh. And so those are the kind of things that we plan at this meeting. So in the near future, specifically on Thursday, October 23rd, USAS will be holding a direct action event at the UW bookstore, which is up the street on the Ave. It's on, I think, 45th. I'm sure you've all been there. So we're going there because the UW bookstore sells Altagracia gear, but it's incredibly underrepresented in comparison to Nike, which is what they primarily sell. And so I think one of our USAS members went today to go see how Altagracia is represented at the bookstore, and they were only carrying 2 Altagracia shirts at this moment, compared to the sea of Nike stuff. And so USAS has sent delegations in the past to go speak to the managers at the bookstore to say that they need to change this. We need to represent Altagracia more and Nike less. But this only results in temporary changes in placement of the products and ends up with just a gradual shift back to how things were. And so, once again, on October 23rd, on a Thursday, USAS will be going to deliver a letter to the manager of the bookstore saying that they need to start representing Altagracia more and less of Nike. And so we need your support. We need as many of you to come out as possible and come join us in our march in the bookstore, because nothing inspires a message more than a large quantity of really passionate, inspired young people who are going to, inspire some change. So please come join us. Once again, Thursday, October 23rd, UW Bookstore, 6 p.m. So yeah.
All right, and at our meetings and at our events, we really do have a lot of fun. Another thing that's coming up, November 8th and 9th, we're holding the USAS West Coast Organizational Boot Camp here at UW campus, UW Seattle campus, which there will be different people all the way from like UCLA all the way up through California, Oregon, the entire West Coast, and we're holding it here, which is pretty honorable. Here we will be sharing ideas on how to build campaigns and learning about how to make stronger, broader, and more coordinated movements among our student base. We'll also learn how to kind of get our message out through mainstream media. There'll be a lot of different talkers who have organized various events, and we'll be able to kind of pick their brains for knowledge and learn how to do direct action tactics. This is just a way to get to know each other, and besides the activist part of it, you learn how to organize large groups of people and to get your message across. So that'll be happening November 8th and 9th, and it's something that you have to register for at usas.org/organize/bootcamp. And we'll also be sending out an email to those of you who signed up on our sheet going around. Oh, perfect. And now we're going to open up the floor for any questions anyone has for either the workers or for USAS.
Who sponsored them to come over to the States?
¿Quién fue los que enviaron aquí en los Estados Unidos? ¿Quién está dirigiendo esta gira?
Solidaridad Ignite, o sea, nosotros tenemos una ONG y ella es quien nos organizamos y hacemos esta gira para acá y gira para República Dominicana.
It was Solidarity Ignite. We have this nonprofit that organizes, it has coordinated this whole speaking tour here in the United States, and it also organizes student delegations to the Dominican Republic. Yes.
I was wondering if you could elaborate on the management structure.
Si pudieron contarnos un poco más sobre la estructura de la gerencia de Altagracia.
La gerencia en Altagracia es corta. Para la experiencia que nosotros tenemos es muy corta, porque como les dije ahorita, había una estructura muy escalonada en BJIB. Aquí en Altagracia, simplemente si yo necesito hablar con mi gerente, yo me paro de mi máquina y voy a donde el gerente, ya.
The chain of command at Altagracia is very short. it's very short compared to what my experience is. Because I think, as I was mentioning earlier, when I worked at BJ&B and other factories, the management structure was extremely hierarchical, and it was impossible for me to get to the top of the hierarchy to talk to somebody about a problem. And these days at Altagracia, if I want to talk to the management, I simply stop my machine, walk over to the office, and talk to a manager.
Además tenemos una gerencia femenina que es lo que más nos satisface porque somos más mujeres y nos entendemos mejor.
You know, we have a management dominated by women, and that's something that we're really glad to have because our workforce is also majoritarily feminine, and so we feel like we're understood. Y pienso que tal vez que fue en esta pregunta también, ¿cómo se llevan con la gerencia? ¿Cómo es la dinámica? I just asked because I felt like maybe you're getting at this too, like, what is the dynamic with the management?
Bueno, la dinámica con la gerencia es igual que una gerencia y unos trabajadores. Nunca va a ser más fácil. O sea, nosotros discutimos y llegamos a puntos. Quizás 60-40, quizás para este lado, quizás 60-40 para este lado, 60 para este lado, 40 para este, a veces viceversa, pero sí tenemos una forma de diálogos y reuniones continuas para no tener cosas muy grandes y así no tener unas grandes discusiones.
Well, you know, it's like any management-worker relationship. I mean, we're still workers face-to-face with management. There's always going to be a tension, and you're never going to get rid of that. But, you know, I think we have a pretty healthy dialogue going, you know, discussion. Like sometimes workers are 60% this way and management's 40% that way, or sometimes they're 40 and 60, you know, and you know, what we do is, you know, I think we are able to, you know, have a lot of meetings and negotiations and get to a place where, you know, we don't have to have any escalations because, you know, they know the power, and we negotiate.
Y lo bueno que tenemos es que tenemos normas, además tenemos el código de trabajo, ¿verdad? Tenemos normas que estructuramos conjuntamente todos y también tenemos un convenio colectivo que es lo que nos dice qué nosotros vamos a hacer por encima del código de trabajo. Entonces, por ahí siempre nos regimos y no hay problema hasta ahora.
And, you know, on top of that, at Altagracia, okay, so under the Dominican law, there's Dominican labor law and norms that are established under the law. We know that those have to be followed. Above and beyond that, we've negotiated our collective bargaining agreement, which is going to, you know, establish the conditions for how we're going to be treated on the job beyond that. And so, you know, I think we have those kind of parameters to outline how work's going to be, and that's kind of the parameters that we operate within.
Los problemas siempre van a haber, pero los problemas los podemos manejar por esas tres normas que tenemos.
You know, problems, you're always going to see problems. But, you know, I think that we're able to kind of deal with our problems with management, kind of using, you know, the norms that we have, the law, our collective bargaining agreement, and the norms of the Workers' Rights Consortium Code of Conduct. ¿Quién elijan? Go ahead.
Sí.
Organizing, did you have the support of your community, or were there people that didn't respect or appreciate what you were doing?
Yeah, and is this with BJ&B or Altagracia or both?
I think it was like just the initial process, maybe it's...
Okay, cool. Cuando ustedes empezaron a organizar un sindicato, ¿ustedes tenían el apoyo de la comunidad? ¿O la gente decían que fue malo, o que fue bueno, o cómo fue? Y yo pedí que, ¿estás hablando de Altagracia o de BJ o la dos? Y más o menos la dos.
Bueno, en BJB hubieron muchos rechazos.
You know, in BJ&B, people really rejected us when we were forming the union.
Hasta tanto no se enteraron qué era lo que nosotros necesitábamos, qué era lo que estábamos pidiendo. Después de que la comunidad se enteró qué nosotros pedíamos, todo el mundo apoyó.
You know, and you know, they were very much against us until they kind of heard what we were actually asking for and the reforms that we were calling for. And once they heard how basic and reasonable those are, then people started to get behind us and support us.
En Altagracia no hubo ninguna clase de problema porque los trabajadores aceptaron inmediatamente un sindicato y también la comunidad entendió qué era lo que nosotros queríamos. Entonces no hubo problema.
At Altagracia, there was very little resistance. You know, immediately workers decided to form a union, and the community accepted it, and there was no resistance.
¿Ya? ¿Hay otra pregunta?
Are there any other similar factories in the area, or is this inspired any change elsewhere?
¿Hay fábrica parecida a Altagracia en el área de Villa? ¿O si la existencia de Altagracia ha inspirado cambio en otra fábrica alrededor de Altagracia?
Nada más hay una sola Altagracia en el mundo,
You know, I think Altagracia is unparalleled the world over.
pero sí ha inspirado a otra empresa a que cambien un poco sus normas y su salario.
But I think that this model has inspired other factories to change a little bit the way that they operate and the wages that they offer.
No igual que Altagracia, pero vamos avanzando.
You know, they're nowhere like Altagracias, but things are improving. ¿Y cómo lograron? ¿Sí pueden especificar un poco más? O, I was like, can you elaborate like how you guys change those things?
Con los sindicatos se unen con todos los sindicatos y luchan por eso.
Well, with unions, you know, unions are kind of uniting, you know, kind of having exchanges and fighting for changes in these factories.
Gracias.
No, you can say it in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know if there's other factories in the Dominican Republic that are trying to do the same thing that they're doing, and if they're going to other schools in the U.S. That's all.
Bueno, con eso de otros sindicatos y otros trabajadores, no solamente con República Dominicana, sino también con otros países, porque tenemos relaciones con otros trabajadores de otros países, porque queremos que estas condiciones se expandan al mundo.
You know, as far as like exchanges between unions, exchanges between workers, we're not only having them in the Dominican Republic with other unions, we're actually doing this with other unions from other countries because we want these conditions that we enjoy to be replicated throughout the world.
¿Cuál fue la otra pregunta? Sí, a muchas.
¿Pueden contar un poco?
Nosotras llegamos el 22 del mes pasado, pero antes de eso hubieron 19 días de gira de 2 trabajadoras más. O sea, tenemos más de un mes y medio de gira por diferentes escuelas, a veces en un día 2 escuelas. Hemos conocido muchos estudiantes.
A lot of other schools. Actually, we have been on the speaking tour, talking with students around the country for basically we started the 22nd of last month. And before us, there was another shift of 2 other workers who were sharing their stories. And they were on 19 days of travel, you know, speaking with different college campuses around the country, you know, sometimes 2 in a day. And so, you know, we've really been seeing a lot of this country on this speaking tour and a lot of students.
Is the government doing anything to protect workers in any way, or is it just mostly
What the allies they talked about? Yeah. ¿Y el gobierno dominicano está haciendo algo para proteger los derechos de los trabajadores? ¿O nada más la lucha que los humanos de esas ONG de que ya han explicado?
Al contrario, el gobierno quiere quitarnos de lo que ya tenemos en nuestro código de trabajo.
It's the opposite of helping us. The government wants to get rid of the existing labor law in the books that is helpful to workers.
El gobierno está compuesto por dueños de empresas, aunque ellos dicen que no, pero son ellos los dueños de las otras empresas. Entonces, ellos quieren quitarle derechos que ya adquirieron los trabajadores para tener más dinero de lo que ellos ya tienen.
So, you know, the government is completely made up of business people. You know, they deny that allegation all the time, but the business class is who is in control of the government. And they want to get rid of the rights that workers currently have that have been established under law through years of workers advocating for, you know, something. You know, they're interested to get rid of all of those wins so that they can continue making more and more money than what they have already.
El gobierno dice que no sabe que Altagracia existe.
The government says that they don't even know that Altagracia exists.
So in terms of the UW contracts with factories, is any of that
negotiated through like the university sports teams, or is that all directly through the bookstore?
Ok. Cuando viene a la Universidad de Washington y sus contratos con esas fábricas, ¿se lo negocia directamente con los equipos deportivos o se negocian con la tienda? Tal vez que podemos abrir esto a los estudiantes de USAS. ¿Sí?
Por favor.
I was like, you know, I think it might be appropriate to open that up to the students of USAS. And they said, please, go for it.
So UW has a sponsorship agreement
Es
with
que USAS
Nike.
tiene
It's
un
worth like
acuerdo
$11
de
million
sponsorio
where Nike provides
con
all
Nike
sorts of
que vale
gear
como
in exchange for the right to
$100
exclusively advertise at
$100
games.
porque
And then
Nike
separate
tiene
from
el
that,
derecho
UW
de
has several
promocionar su
licensing
marca
agreements where
a
it
los
grants
juegos.
a brand the
Más
right to
allá de
use
eso,
the UW
ellos tienen un
logo in
contrato y
exchange
un
for a
acuerdo
royalty fee.
en
And
que
the
tienen el
bookstore
derecho a
apparel
usar
that
el
you
logo
find
de
is
Universidad de
basically
Washington
all licensed apparel.
en pagando un
The
dinero
reality is that you know, Becca went down
por
there
ese
today, and
derecho.
their UW is the bookstore
También
is only
a lo
carrying
que
like
llevan dentro de esta
two
tienda,
types of Altagracia
tres partes.
shirts. When
Y Rebeca fue
you know, when there's a
hoy
lot of heat on the
vamos a como
bookstore to
dos
support workers'
camisas
rights,
de
there's
Altagracia.
times that they were
Es
carrying
que cuando es muy
tons of
caliente la lucha
Altagracia,
que
so it kind of
traigan
fluctuates
Altagracia
based
hay
on how
mucho,
much pressure
pero cuando no
students like
estamos
us put on the bookstore.
encima de ellos
But I
no hay
think
nada.
one
Entonces
important thing
están
to take
cambiando
away from
cuando
today
los
is that
estudiantes dicen que
you know,
quieren van
you
a
can
obtener
make a
mucho, pero
much bigger impact and stand in solidarity much more effectively
tú
with
puedes hacer un
workers
impacto
in places like the
más
Dominican
fuerte
Republic by targeting
en lo
institutional
que es como
relationships
la
between
Dominicana,
the
si tú
university
tratas de
and
cambiar
brands,
lo que
like,
pasa a nivel
you know, the relationship
institucional,
between the bookstore
eso se trata de
and
las relaciones
Altagracia, where the bookstore is
entre
not
las universidades y
owning
las
enough
marcas, o
Altagracia
ir
orders
directamente
to
a la
sustain
tienda y
the
obligarles a
company.
traer
So,
más
you
Altagracia,
know,
no
that's kind of
solamente
why
lo que yo compro,
USAS, when we
sino
think
lo que
about what
hacemos a nivel
impact can we
institucional.
make,
Es por eso
you know,
que
we look at
USAS cuando
institutional
pensamos
relationships and
qué
how
es
we
el
can
impacto
put
que podemos
pressure
tener.
as you know,
Miramos
students
a
at
nivel
universities
institucional,
to get our
ponemos
universities
presión en las
to ensure that our
universidades
apparel is made
para obligar a las
in
universidades
conditions where workers have living wages and a democratic
toda la ropa
voice in
que
the job.
ellos llevan está hecho con dignidad y democracia. Other questions? Anyone?
What do you think consumers and the general population, not necessarily students, can do about this problem?
¿Cuáles acciones pueden tomar los consumidores un poco más amplia en la población en general? No solamente los estudiantes, sino gente normal. ¿Qué pueden hacer ellos para ser parte de esa lucha? ¿Qué opinan ustedes?
Bueno, simplemente es dirigirse al presidente de la escuela, con eso pedirle de que ellos ordenen un poco más de Altagracia, que pongan Altagracia adelante en la librería y que eduquen a las personas que están ahí vendiendo. Entonces, seguir luchando para que estas grandes marcas cambien sus políticas.
Well, I think community members as well could kind of direct that energy to the president and ask that the schools stand behind Altagracia, you know, make a meaningful commitment to Altagracia and make a statement with it, you know, put it in the front, put signs up, you know, educate the staff of the store so that they know how to tell the story of what Altagracia is. And, you know, ¿qué fue tu última frase? Se me fue. Después de eduquen a la gente que trabaja en la tienda, ¿qué fue?
Seguir luchando para que otras marcas cambien sus políticas.
And you know, continue being involved, continue organizing, so that other brands will also start to change the way they treat workers.
¿Quieren hacer más preguntas?
Do you guys have any other questions?
Is this an Altagracia shirt? I see the logo on the side. Is that the logo?
Sí.
Yes, eso es una camiseta de Altagracia. Sí. Yeah, when they had it in the store.
Hecha con mucho cariño y mucho amor.
So, made with a lot of love and a lot of care. Yep.
Muchas gracias. Altagracia flyers up here if anyone wants.
Tenemos volantes de
They
Altagracia.
can order
También
Altagracia
tenemos
products.
nuestros volantes
I
de
think we
Altagracia.
pass them out.
También tenemos los volantes de la gira que tenemos ahora el día 2 de enero para República Dominicana, donde no solamente conocen trabajadores de Altagracia, sino trabajadores de otras empresas, conocen Altagracia por dentro, y hay mucho que aprender allá en República Dominicana. Los esperamos.
We also have flyers if you're interested to be a part of the delegation coming up this January, from January 2nd to 12th, where we bring students to the Dominican Republic. And not only are you going to get to see Altagracia and get to know it very intimately, you know, see what's going on in it, but we also have exchanges with other workers organizing in other factories, fighting back for change. So, you know, help yourself to those flyers too.
Esperamos que se unan a esta lucha porque de verdad que se han logrado grandes cosas, se van a lograr grandes más.
We hope that you guys join this movement because it's made incredible things possible already, and it's gonna make many more incredible things possible.
So I understand that organizing is important and awareness, and I'm wondering whether you are using like the media, the internet, or what sources are you using to communicate with everyone about this fight?
Okay. Bueno, entiendo que de organizar, eso es muy importante, pero yo quiero saber cuáles son los medios, porque están corriendo la voz de lo que está pasando con Altagracia. ¿Están usando el internet o cómo están corriendo la voz de lo que está pasando con Altagracia?
Bueno, esto es una de las formas que estamos haciendo. También hay mucha información en el internet. Además, a través de USAS, con los grupos de USAS se enteran de todo lo que está sucediendo en todo el mundo, no solamente en Altagracia. Entonces, esa es la forma que usamos para correr la voz. Wow. Y ustedes mismos que sean portavoz de esto que está sucediendo.
Well, this very speaking tour that we're on is a very big way that we are able to communicate, you know, what's going on. Of course, using the internet as well, as you mentioned. You know, United Students Against Sweatshops is constantly getting the word out of what's going on at a global level, not just at Altagracia, but the world over. And you yourselves, you know, you're the best people to relay this message of what's going on to, you know, to everybody.
Okay. Just a question on, I know some people back home that run a big company doing team sports. How would they get a hold of them for like wholesale information and just to do ordering and stuff as a wholesale company?
Es que de donde vengo, yo conozco a algunas personas que están en un gran equipo de deporte y si ellos querrían traer a Altagracia por su equipo de deporte, ¿quién puede contactar para lograr eso?
Aquí están los volantes.
She's like, well, the flyers for how to order blanks are floating around.
Y por internet también hay muchas informaciones cómo puede hacer una compra grande.
And online, there's a lot of information too about how you can make a big, you know, source a lot of Altagracia. Sí. Y no, lo que también el volante más o menos me va a explicar eso.
Sí.
Yeah. Also, Daniel here might be able to, I think he's who handed out the flyers, might be able to help you. Yeah.
I've got business cards.
Es que él trabaja para Ethics, pues. Daniel. Pues nada, I think we'd like to just thank you guys so much. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out. We really encourage you guys to stay here chatting with everybody. If you have more questions for these ladies, come up. Don't be shy. They've come all the way from the Dominican Republic. If you have questions for the students.
Just real quick, USAS is also going to be, you know, in addition to standing with workers in the Dominican Republic, we're campaigning this year with unions in Bangladesh who are fighting for safe working conditions in the wake of some huge disasters that happen in factories there. And we're also going to be campaigning with custodians on campus who are facing some of the same sweatshop conditions that Maritza and others have faced in the Dominican Republic here at the UW. So if you're interested in getting involved in those, again, Mondays at 7 p.m. in Carrington 206, we'd love to see you there. And there's a sign-in sheet floating around. Who has the sign-in sheet? Cool. Can you bring that up here, and then whoever, you know, if you didn't fill it out before, sign in, and you know, we'll keep you up to date about what's happening.
And then we have a pile of both of the flyers over there and over here. You guys want to grab some on the way out?
Sírvense.
Thanks.